country rap tune.
Because y'all was so young when all of this started, what was it like when you went on your first tour? Because now you're going from really being like a kid to like being in the world by yourself.
What do you mean, like the first UGK tour?
The first UGK tour.
And there hasn't been. There never was a UGK tour. UGK never went on tour.
Really?
UGK did shows.
Huh.
We did shows. Like promoters would call, they book us, and then we go do the show, and then we go home. There was never an organized tour for UGK. You ain't never seen no flyer with UGK with 25, 30 cities. It was no, but you never seen no piece of me and Chad on a tour bus, have you? You never seen a UGK rap bus?
Now that I think about it.
No, there's never been a UGK tour. We were always independently booked and promoted. You know what I'm saying? By street promoters, by, people in the neighborhoods, D-boys, people who have been owning music venues for 25, 30 years, who had always been supporting artists through the Chitlin circuit since the earliest days of R&B and things like that. So we just kind of made music, and people called and wanted us to perform. They sent the first half. We went down there and got the second half and went home. But there was never any organized tour. Jive Records never took us on a promotional tour or anything.
Crazy.
We would get flown to certain cities, and you get in a van and drive around. So you fly you to Atlanta and, get in a van and drive you around. And luckily, Chaka Zulu was the guy driving us around in a van in his earliest days in the music industry. Wow. So he kind of was able to take us around and give us, insight and input into what the city was looking like. I remember when Lil Jon was doing Black Market Radio back in the day, college radio. I went over there. I remember that was the first time we ever went to the Dungeon was with Chaka on promo, out here on promo tour. I met Biggie Smalls out here on promo tour. Rest in peace, Rico, by the way.
Wow.
And,
peace, Rico.
And then go to California, and somebody will drive you around California. You go to Eminem's, and first UGK performance was in Compton Community College.
What?
Like there was no tour. There was no such thing as that, because they didn't really have any real belief in us. We had momentum in our region, and they tried to just piggyback off of that and see how far it would go. But Jive Records never really had any clear understanding of UGK or how to promote it, how to market it, and contractually we were so upside down in a contract, even with for example, with Tell Me Something Good, there's songs that we produced that they didn't want to clear the samples because of the cost. So in the contract, they actually had the right to reproduce music. So like 976 Bun B is not the beat I made, it's a different beat.
I remember you telling me
You know what I'm saying? So there's like 2 or 3 songs on the first album that were just completely reproduced. And we didn't even know until they sent us the hard copy of the album.
Right before the album dropped.
Yeah.
God.
But there's a lot of different things as we go through the UGK story.
Wow.
I mean, watching the Riding Dirty, commercial on Rap City, seeing it for the first time as it aired on TV.
Damn.
Like, never even knew they went and shot some commercial somewhere. And, of course, it got charged to my account. Right, something that I wasn't even in, and wasn't even knowledgeable about. But we can,
that's cold.
We can tell those kind of stories all day.
So look, okay, so in '95, you ended up moving to Atlanta.
Yes.
Why did you move to Atlanta? What was that about?
We had a bitch ass manager at the time, by the name of Byron Hill, and he was living here at the time, and I just wanted a different.
Okay.
I wanted a different experience. I just got like my first little check, and it wasn't like a back end check; it was an advance check. So UGK never got a royalty check from Jive Records. We're still technically $2 million in the red.
Oh my God.
Over there, but that gets into contractual accounting and that kind of thing, and recoupment, which none of it was in our favor. That's a whole other story. But yeah, I ended up moving out here in '95. I was out in like Dunwoody right after the 400 had just got constructed. And I was like, I got enough money to buy a car and an apartment anywhere. I was like, I'm gonna go do it in Atlanta and see what's up. It was at the time the cost of living was pretty much the same. It was comparable.
Yeah.
I wasn't in a relationship. I didn't have any children or anything like that. So I just kind of upped and just went for it. And I had friends here. Big Gip was a real good friend of mine, and I would basically just get up every morning and go by his house and pick him up and ride around Atlanta. And I used to hang out at Earwax. I used to hang out at Eric Summer Rim Shop. And just try to soak up the culture. I go out to Breed's house, go out to Dallas Austin's house when invited, different things like that, and just watching, the Atlanta movement that we all know and love start to actually fully form. With Outkast coming out first, I was around for a lot of the recording of the Goody Mob's first album, and just being able to be aware of what the rest of the world didn't really know was actually forming and coming, because you would see Cool Breeze around, and you see Witch Doctor around, and Lil Will, and all these different people who are part of the Dungeon family, but also getting ready to create their own respective paths and legacies out here. It was wild to see.
That's a trip.
And that was literally after leaving Houston and watching the formation of Screwed Up Click, and then got out here.
So how long you stayed in Atlanta? For a couple of years?
No. I stayed one calendar year. I got in. It was cool. As soon as my lease was up, I got the fuck on. I got back. Cause I was in Dunwoody, which was was relatively safe. It was pretty isolated at the time, but it was just a lot trying to go into the city and doing. I'm one deep. I like to go do what I'm gonna do and then go back. And Atlanta's a very, I don't want to say cliquish kind of town, but it's definitely strength in numbers works out here. And I just didn't socialize like that at the time. I'd socialize different now, but I never felt comfortable just inserting myself in somebody's clique. Like the OG Short would look out for me, and they would do things, and I would go meet them out on the West End, and we'd all go out to the club and stuff like that. And but I was just like hanging out in Doppler, and hanging out in DARP and hanging out in Oakland studios. That's where I wanted to be. I wanted to watch people create, you know what I'm saying? That was a big thing for me, because I just write rhymes. I didn't make music, and I didn't mix records and all of that. So, and I had only really seen the process done the way we had done it. So watching other people, the hours they chose, the way they decided to put things together, things were different. And I just like watching that type of shit happen, and watching people eventually hear these records around the country and around the world and be like, damn, that shit is dope. I was like, yeah.
You know what?
I remember it was dope when I was in there.
Country rap tune.